Hey, this is Chico. Time to do a weekly recap for September 15th to the 19th on this video series for selling call options. And this week, yeah, what a interesting week for us. It was looking really good. We sold a Roblox contract, three Roblox contract at the beginning of the week. We made almost $400 on that one, and then we had Carvana, and at one point Carvana was looking good, but what happened was, well, first we opened it before the Fed announced its rate cuts, and then after the Fed announced its rate cuts, stocks moved up a little bit, but it wasn't that much. Wasn't until Thursday things really picked up for most stocks, like on the Nasdaq was up, I think over 1%, and then on Friday it was up and down, and it settled in a position, at least in the morning, where it was looking good for us. I was thinking, oh yeah, the way it's going, staying out of the money. Even if we went into the money a little bit, we were gonna make somewhere up to $700 for the week. But and that's combined with the Roblox and Carvana. But however, in the last hour and so, the Carvana stock just kept going up. It went into the money. It went from like about 380 something, 385 to 386, which was in the money because our contract strike price was 385, and went all the way to like 391 and change. So with that said, we had to we made money off the premium, but we would get a sign, and using the closing price of Friday's trade, then we would be down. And so we can look at the spreadsheet later, but for that kind of put us kind of wiped out our earnings for Roblox. We're still up like $23 for the week, but yeah, it's kind of more of a break-even week. And then what was interesting, so we'll look at the spreadsheet, but what was interesting in the week, what happened was, Fed rate cut 0.25%. I think that was highly anticipated, and then they've said that there will be more rate cuts this coming year and in the near term. And so that was good. But the stocks didn't just like pop up so strong right after that announcement. It was actually the next day it went up, and then Friday it was up. Up for most stocks just a little bit. In the relative sense, and that's kind of what happened. Other interesting news that came out. I would say there was the news about China. The China news about it saying that it's Chinese companies can no longer purchase NVIDIA AI GPU chipsets for AI purposes. So yeah, I made a little mini video talking about like what that really meant, and at least in my view, and basically, that's going to impact NVIDIA at least until something changes, and I don't know if that will also have some trickle effect later on to AMD in a negative way or a positive way if they're not restricted by the Chinese government. So yeah, all this time, finally Trump says you can sell to China. We just take 15% off these like pared down chipsets, and then now China's come back, and said, hey, let's not play this game in the U.S. anymore. Not allowed to use not allowed to purchase any more NVIDIA chipsets that are allowed to come into China. And in the last earnings call too, NVIDIA was talking. They were Jensen, the CEO. He was hopeful that they can convince the U.S. government to also be able to sell like their full-fledged Blackwell chipset to China. And he said that in his view, like it's in discussion and there's possibility. But with this recent news, if you take it at face value, then it ain't looking good. But these things are negotiated, and it's just a political game. So right now, NVIDIA is a little bit of a victim about that. But then there was the news about NVIDIA also, spending $5 billion on with Intel, and that Intel just went up like I think 30% or somewhere around the ballpark around that area. And so that kind of also lifted NVIDIA a little bit to help recoup some of the small losses it took from the news about China China not allowing for its chipsets to be purchased by its companies. Okay, and then what else happened? Oh yeah, he has the H-1B visa. Yeah, now Trump administration said there's going to be a one-time fee for new applicants, a one-time fee of $100K. So if any tech company or any company can get would try to get a worker from out of the country who's not a citizen, and you need to get an H-1B visa for most of these people. I mean, there's exceptions like in Canada and Mexico if you want a temporary license and or visa. There's also TN visas, but for the majority of foreign tech workers that don't have U.S. citizenship, and like I said, it doesn't just apply to tech workers, but for the tech sector, because that's what we're interested in. If this sticks, and if that understanding is what the administration is saying, that it's going to cost for a company to be able to get an H-1B visa for any new petition, then wow, that's pretty expensive, and I don't know how much of an impact that will have. So yeah, keep that in mind. And then before we go in spreadsheet, the one other thing is, like in this video series, we usually use, not usually, but we do use 40K we try to do it with 40K and demonstrate with 40K. But a lot of the stocks have appreciated over the past several months. Stocks like Tesla, Broadcom's going up, and if we want to not use any margin, which typically you do have you have a margin account when you sell option contracts and do options. But to keep it simple, I do want to just do cover call for it, so that it's kind of like we can stick within a certain budget to demonstrate something with more simple math, you can say. It's always up to you if you want to do a cover call, if that makes sense, or a sell a naked call option, and where you don't have the stock on hand. But maybe I'll talk more about it, but next month we'll probably use up the budget to 50K, so that we can continue working with these other stocks with like good I say potential for us to make money on, and we don't want to like have them like move out of our scope. Anyways, let's go to the spreadsheet. All right, this is what the spreadsheet looks like for September 15th to the 19th. First, we sold 3 contracts for $1.38 on the beginning of the week for Roblox, and quickly that it dipped down so that we were able to close the contracts for buying back at 9 cents a piece, and that gave us a profit of $3.87. Carvana, we opened before the Fed meeting on Wednesday, and we sold 1 contract for $3.25. That was looking good until Friday, where the wind shifted directions and took us into the money, and too far into the money. So we did make money off the contracts themselves, where we went into expiration $3.25, and then if we got assignment, which we would for being in the money so deep, that we would sell the shares and have to buy the shares to sell them to the buyer at the strike price of $3.85, and we would lose $6.89. For the week, we're up $23. Woohoo! Big 23. All right, there you have it. That's it for this video. We'll catch you next time. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so.